With quarterbacks around the NFL seemingly struggling through 2 weeks, one guy came out in week 2 and put up one of the best performances of his career. Kyler Murray, 17 of 21, 266 yards, 3 touchdowns, 59 rushing yards in a trouncing of the Los Angeles Rams. This one was over by halftime, and he was out of the game early. What do we see, Matt, from Kyler to make you think that, hey, this might be the guy we were promised early on in his career?
I mean, you saw he did everything that he's capable of doing. He was accurate on time at times. He extended plays with his legs. He threw the ball deep. He threw the ball intermediate. He found his targets. I just thought is the best I've seen him play. The most complete game that I have seen him play in his NFL career. And came away from it yesterday just thinking, you know what, the Cardinals. And I gotta give my guy J.J. Watt a little shout out, because during the summer we were talking about teams, maybe flying under the radar or whatever. And he was like, listen, man, I was out at OTAs. I've kind of seen the vibe that is around the building in the Cardinals right now. He's like, I like it. It feels like the culture is changing there. It feels like they're headed in the right direction. They had a chance week 1 to beat the Bills. They had them on the ropes. They played well up in Buffalo, and then, get their home opener against the Rams. And I mean, that was game over midway through the first quarter.
I really liked what I saw from Marvin Harrison Jr. too.
Yeah.
Obviously goes over 100 early on. A couple touchdowns from him. And to me, the biggest thing that I saw from this Arizona Cardinals team, different from even early on in his career when Kyler was playing well, what was that, 2021, when we were hyping him up as maybe an MVP candidate before DeAndre Hopkins got hurt, before he got hurt, is they have a receiving core that's kind of built for options for everything now. You have the deep threat in Marvin Harrison Jr. You have more of a possession number 2 in Michael Wilson. You have Greg Dortch to be that slot. And then you have one of the better tight ends in the NFL in Trey McBride. So there's really no one go-to guy in this offense. He can just facilitate wherever he wants to go, basically.
And that was his comments. He took some heat for that week 1, right? Like about his comments of saying, I'm going to go wherever coverage tells me to go and my progression tells me to go. And the ball will then end up finding all of those different guys, as the year goes on. And I think that's the right approach, right? Like you've got to explain it clearly when you've got multiple pieces, right? Multiple guys that are playmakers for you. Like, listen, the ball's going to find you at different times. I need you to stay patient. I need you to stay on top of your route running and winning your matchups. And when it's your turn, make people pay. And I give, Marvin Harrison Jr. a lot of credit for having kind of that underwhelming performance week 1 in terms of production, but then coming out and having the day that he had. I think that also speaks to the maturity of Kyler.
Yeah, big time. I mean, and I love to hear that from a quarterback, because as an O-lineman, like, there may be a run in the run plan that I really like, and I'm going to be on the O-line coach's head the whole game. Like, you better call that again. It's 4 to 8 every single time that we call it. But I also have to know as an O-lineman, when we go toss left, it's going to help set up inside zone right. It's going to help set up Matty Ice to be able to deliver a deep hole shot to Julio Jones. Like, these are things you have to understand. If you're a good teammate, you have to have a little bit of that, 30,000 feet view of the whole operation. For Kyler Murray, he sounds really mature to me, and he's obviously grown up a lot, not only off the field, but his game reflects it as well.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like you see that, come through in his play. And, we would always talk in our locker rooms about, at times you're going to be John Stockton, right? You're going to be the assist man. That is going to be your role. We're going to need you to nail that role when it's your time to be John Stockton. But then there's times where you're going to be Steph Curry, and we need you to shoot, and we're going to need you to shoot from half court and drain it. And so that balance, like, the good teams have the balance where they understand their roles on given plays, and I think you're starting to see that come through a little bit. And I think that's what really takes you to the next level as a quarterback too, right? Kyler's been in this thing for a handful of years, some ups, some downs, and I think if you can kind of weather that storm and get out on the other side of it, like it looks like he has in the first couple of weeks, and keep that rolling, I think the sky's the limit for him.
Murray has definitely been the exception, though, through 2 weeks in terms of quarterbacks looking good. I feel like more often than not, we're talking about this guy's struggling, that guy's struggling. What have you seen from defenses across the NFL through 2 weeks that have kind of turned these offenses into check down artists left and right, that we're just not seeing the explosives? We're not seeing these attacking offenses that 10 years ago, this style of play that we're seeing right now would have been so foreign to the average football fan.
I mean, I think it's hard to pinpoint, one thing as to why, numbers are down from a scheme standpoint or anything like that. To me, and it's been harped on, for the last month is like the lack of playing in the preseason. And, passing the football, throwing the football in our league is about rhythm, timing, right? And being on the same page, understanding your adjustments, understanding when you're supposed to get out of stuff, understanding protection, right? Like you have to have a feel for how long you have. You have to have a feel for where you're at in the pocket, right? Not being too deep, not being too short in your sets. I think all of those things as a quarterback come from live reps and being in there. And, to me, I think that's probably the biggest reason, you've seen maybe some slow starts in the passing game.